Boston Mayor Marty Walsh is fresh off a meeting with casino mogul Steve Wynn. It was their first face-to-face meeting since a judge dismissed the city's lawsuit last week, which was seeking to stop Wynn from building his casino in neighboring Everett. Mayor Walsh joins me now. Good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Where'd you meet?
We had a meeting in town.
Where'd you meet?
At a place in town.
How was the meeting? Don't say cordial and constructive. How was the meeting?
It actually was a good meeting. I mean, we didn't really get into the lawsuit. We talked more about, this is the second time we've met now in about 3 months, and talked about how we move forward here, if there's an opportunity to move forward. And there's a lot of common ground, but we're still a bit away.
It's about the money, right?
It's not necessarily about the money. It's about the infrastructure, traffic, impacts on Charlestown, a whole bunch of other different things.
Revere, Mohegan Sun, offered you $30 million and one time and $18 million a year. Wynn originally only offered you $6 million and $2.6 per year. If he upped the ante,
it's actually 1.6.
1.6. My apologies. If he upped the ante to what Mohegan Sun was offering,
I think it's more.
Would that be it?
It's not just that. It's also making sure that people at Charlestown are comfortable where we are. The increase in traffic, what's going to happen on Sullivan Square, Rutherford Ave, and we had good chat about that now twice. Our people actually have been sitting at the table talking about how do we move forward on that. We have to see.
What do you think of him?
Charming guy, personally, very smart guy. There's no question about it. This isn't a personal matter, even though everyone tries to portray it as a personal matter. We talked about that today, not making it a personal matter. Obviously, it gets personal because of there's human beings involved, but trying to keep it at a high level.
The judge, when she dismissed your case the other day, accused the city inflammatory descriptions, spurious claims, obscured factual allegations. Both that papers have editorialized in the last few months against you, saying, enough. The Globe editorial said, the Herald the other day, drop it, Mr. Mayor. You're going to appeal the judge's ruling?
We'll see what happens.
Do you not feel the pressure building a little bit, that you're really not doing terribly well in these lawsuits?
It's okay. My job is to make sure I work on behalf of the people of Boston and people of Charlestown. That's what my job is to do. And I think I've gotten some criticism, and that's fine. I was at a Christmas tree lighting Saturday night in Charlestown, and residents had signs say, keep the fight up for us and stay in our corner. And they said, don't worry about what we're reading in the paper, what you're reading in the paper, you're doing the right thing. Again, it's about, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think we'll see what happens as the course of the next weeks and months come.
What was your reaction to what Trump had to say yesterday?
We talk about him too much in the press and in the public, and I think, it was embarrassing. Here's a guy running for the highest seat in the country, and to have that type of person running in what appears to be his character too is a major flaw, and hopefully the people in the Republican primary will finally see what he's all about.
A couple of mayors said that he is not welcome in their city. Is he welcome in Boston?
I mean, I don't think you can keep anyone out of your city.
No, I understand that.
But certainly, what he said, there's a lot of great Muslims and Muslim American people that do the right thing every single day. And what he stereotyped yesterday with ISIS, comparing every single Muslim person to ISIS, is so inappropriate and so wrong. And I think a lot of people are speaking up today, not just here in Massachusetts, but across the country, on what type of person and what type of comments these are.
One of the things that America is discussing, even if Congress isn't simultaneously, is the gun situation. Yeah. You pulled together a meeting of leaders from the Northeast a week or so ago. Even if that's a good idea on paper, Mayor Walsh, the reality is if New Hampshire has weak laws and we have strong laws, unless the feds finally do something, what's the point of these meetings?
You're absolutely right there, with the exception of those meetings give us the opportunity to sit down with mayors and police chiefs from all across New England, New Hampshire and Maine, Vermont, and the opportunity to see what's actually happening in our streets. A lot of people are reading about it in the paper, and if we can get some states like that understanding where we're coming from in Boston and urban cities, we might have some allies there.
But what can they do? If they're a New Hampshire mayor and they have weak laws, what can they do?
Talk to their Congress people.
Oh, you mean in terms of lobbying their own people?
Lobbying their own people. Again, I'm not, and this is the whole thing. We get caught up in the NRA comes out and saying we can't do this type of laws and we can't have these laws. I'm not looking to take people's guns away. What I'm looking to do is make sure that these guns are registered nationally, make sure there's a national background check to make sure that people that buy these guns should have these guns, and making sure that they keep track of these guns.
But you're with the president, no assault weapons. We should get rid of assault rifles.
Absolutely. There's no reason for assault rifles. And I voted that way when I was a member of the legislature.
Locally at Northeastern, I assume you've read about this, campus police now armed with AR-15 style semi-automatic rifles. Campus police.
Yeah,
how do you feel about this?
I would hope that, God forbid, a situation comes down, it's going to be the Boston Police Department, it's going to be the state police that are going to be responding to Northeastern or any other college, university. I think it's a very slippery slope to have our campus police officers carrying around, potentially carrying around assault rifles.
So you prefer they don't?
I prefer they don't.
Can we talk politics? Well, Trump, I guess, is politics too. You endorsed Hillary Clinton the other day. If Joe Biden had run, he would have been your guy, right?
I don't know. I was
You do
torn.
know, don't
No,
you?
honestly, I was torn. I was torn on. I don't know what would have happened ultimately. I had a conversation with the vice president a couple days after he made his decision. I commended him on his decision, and I told him that he's served this country well. And his response was, "I'm not done yet. I still have 16 more months to go." And I want to thank Vice President Biden for all his great work.
When you endorsed, I don't mean to point a pen at you.
Sorry, you can point.
When you endorsed her, she said, "There's nobody." This is your words. "There's nobody ever in the history of this country that has the resume that Hillary Clinton has to run for president."
No question about that.
In light of that, I'm going to ask you if you can pass the Carly Fiorina test. In the second debate, here's what she said: "If you want to stump a Democrat, there he is, ask them to name an accomplishment of Mrs. Clinton's. What are the accomplishments of Hillary Clinton? Look at the smile on your face that most impress you."
First of all, I wrote a great book and talked about how that it takes a village and talks about the importance of families in America. That's a huge accomplishment as First Lady.
To be president?
It's first. No, I'm talking. No, not as president. I'm just saying. You said it, name an accomplishment.
Okay, name another one.
Another accomplishment she named as First Lady.
Or is anything? Senator, Secretary of State?
Secretary of State. She was Secretary of State in this country for 4 years, and she was in the room for every major decision when it came to what's happening. All people talk about is what happened in Benghazi. No one's talking about her work that she's done. She did in Israel when she was Secretary of State, and all over the country. The work she did in Afghanistan, the work she did with the wars and everything else.
But is it fair to say it's not an easy question to answer?
I think it's difficult because what happens is there's so much that people have accomplished, and if you're not watching it every single step of the way, that question can be asked of anybody, including me.
You're a big supporter of late night tea service. I remember doing a debate with you and John Connolly.
Yes,
Can you save it?
I hope so. We'll see what happens.
Talk to your friend, the governor, about this?
We've talked about it, and I think that the challenges that the state has and the governor has is finances, and I think that the late night tea service is one of those services that you don't run it based on economics. You run it based on getting more and more people to use the service, and it needs a little more money as far as promotion of it, and allows people the opportunity who work in town, who are busboys and waiters and waitresses, the opportunity to not spend their entire money on taking cabs home.
But you're lobbying.
I'm lobbying, yes.
Paper today in the Globe says that you're soon going to announce a plan, hopefully right now, to urge developers of market rate housing to contribute more to funds or provide more affordable housing for low and moderate income people. What's the formula?
Yeah, we're working on some stuff now. We're going to be announcing it, I believe, tomorrow. We're going to be actually giving the full announcement, but it's an opportunity for us to get some more money into some opportunities for low-income housing on developments in downtown
You're still
Boston.
on your 53,000? Is it 53,000 by 2030?
Yeah, we're ahead actually right now of our development.
Before you go, following you in a couple of minutes is going to be Debbie DeMacio. I know you know, and I know you served under Sal DeMacio when you were a state rep. She and Sal DeMacio's lawyers are urging the Bureau of Prisons to grant him compassionate release, which would allow him to get out of prison because of his health and those sort of things. Is that something you'd support?
I would support that. I just talked to Debbie backstage before I came on here, and certainly, Sal has been sick a couple of bouts now of cancer, and that's why the intent of this program was set up for compassionate release for prisoners that need that ability. I mean, he served some time. I think he served nearly 5 years now in prison, and I think that from what I understand, his health is pretty bad, and I think that's why this program should be put in place. I'd ask people to look upon it favorably to release this.
Originally, were you okay with him going to jail after his conviction, being sentenced to jail?
Certainly he got found guilty, and he got found guilty of a crime, and that comes with the punishment of the crime. And I think that's what our system is today. And certainly, I can't say it's the wrong thing to do. I certainly think, though, as he served his time, he's had a couple bouts of cancer. He's in his second one now, I think, and certainly Debbie knows better than any of us. And I think that they petitioned the court, and I think I would ask the court to look favorably upon the petition.
Mr. Mayor, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time.